The SMS message arrived at 3:17 in the morning. Ringing my phone and describing our Boston brownstones' dark life. Francis thought I was sleeping. But I was confused by the 13-hour time difference from Bali. Accordingly, his message was filled with the joy of not repenting. To start my new life with Jessica. We sold our Cape Cod beachfront home and moved all of our belongings. Happy to be single. Hee. Please don't worry about the name. I'll change my number mañana. I looked at the pantalla. The blue light illuminating my face in the mañana's darkness. This marked the end of 30 years of dating. This was a farewell SMS message, concluding with a laugh out loud. In the night, I put my phone in the pool and took a deep breath. Alice Mercer is my name. And I was 52 years old when I never expected to start over. But I was not expecting my 3-decade husband to approach our accounts and leave with his 29-year-old personal server. In all honesty, though, I've been engaged in illicit activities for several months. Francis was eager to express his regret about the Primavera. After years of ignoring my kind suggestions regarding health tests, he suddenly joined a private gym and started to disappear for 2-hour dining sessions 3 times a week. These sessions increased daily until the end of the year. And he gained 30 pounds. Deberías estar contenta conmigo, was the response when he asked what the credit rates were. I'm finally getting along. After that, there was a change in our financial accounts. The secret of phone calls. And business trips that coincided. In addition to other things. With their trainer Jessica's Instagram post about the same locations. By nature, I'm not a confrontational person. I built my career as a hospital administrator using careful observation, documentation, and strategic planning. Instead of making accusations, he began taking notes, gathering evidence, and consulting experts. Francis knew it was time to put the protection plan that had been developing with my help for months into action when he said that they were planning a health retirement for one person in Bali. I called them again, and they wrote a brief response. Check your balance of agreements. Imagine Francis now, sitting by his side in a luxurious villa, thinking that he had lost everything. Imagine the look on his face when he finally checked his accounts and discovered, no. Excellent. Not precisely nothing. He would get notifications of the emergency justice orders that had been signed 3 weeks prior. Resolving our issues together after presenting proof of their case and planned financial abandonment. The successful transfer that he believed had occurred had been intercepted and placed in a monitored agreement. L discovered there would not be an immediate response. Francis had always been trustworthy up until the point of arrogancia. He would not immediately check the acuerdo balance. Imagine if their strategy had worked flawlessly. I deposited a copy of the document in my mailbox, thereby establishing the Documentación de Francis Fund. A meticulous memory ultimately preserved our family's financial future within the established timeline of the previous 6 months. I started by reviewing the credit card statements. Francis had always handled the money carefully considering every purchase he made. In the same way, he knew something was wrong when he started spending $500 a month on electrical maintenance solutions without talking about it. Subsequently, he made discoveries regarding the currency. Always keep the amount below that would cause our bank to notify you. You should avoid spending more than $2 here or $3 there. Diane, our attorney, advised me to start gathering evidence without confronting it. This was my first step. He said, Documenta todo. We need a good path of paper if you are planning what you think you are planning. This is exactly what I did. I took pictures of our financial declarations, made copies of our property acts, and collected unusual delivery data. A forensic actor discovered that Francis had opened a separate bank account 3 months prior. Worst of all, I received emails from a real estate agent offering to sell our beach house. A property that had been in my family for generations. With peace. The turning point occurred when he overheard a phone conversation, leading Francis to believe I was at work. When I heard him in his office, he was in our bedroom, suffering from a migraine, and engaging in a conversation about the toy he had previously played with me. He said, Jessica, baby, everything is coming together. We should sell the beach house quickly. Alice doesn't have any idea. When the money reaches our account, we'll transfer it to the offshore account we set up. At the moment of its discovery, we will be living the life of our dreams in Bali. In the meantime, my 30-year-old husband was planning to leave me destitute. I went to the court of Martinez the following day, who had seen enough cases to recognize the patron. The court immediately guaranteed the order of protection for our emergency issues, placing all of our issues under temporal supervision. Automatically, any attempt to transfer large amounts will be detected and blocked. The Manana's light was now beginning to filter through the windows. Thomas and Alice, our sons, were going to call soon. Alos Sabian. 3 days earlier, the sentinel explained what his father was planning and the legal actions he had taken. Even though the pain in their eyes had almost run me over, they were old enough to understand the story at the ages of 27 and 24. My phone was brand new. We received a notification about our bank application. Someone was attempting to access the account from an international IP address. Finally, Francis was reviewing his equilibrium. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. The Pantala displayed Francis's number. Evidently, despite the threat, nothing had changed today. I let it play 4 times, taking the time to gather myself before answering. ¿Qué diablos hiciste, Alice? Francis's voice was a blend of enojo and panico, with the sound of his paradise resonating all around him. Francis, you responded calmly. Buenos dias. I see that you have verified the accounts. Grito. Esto es mi dinero. No. Derecho tenías a. No lo corregí. Nuestro dinero. This money comes from our 30-year-old wife. We jointly save this money for our retirement and the future of our children. Lo amenazo y lo luché. Y su voz resultó en un fuerte grito. I could envision Jessica departing, attempting to conceal the unfolding disaster. You won't be able to escape this. I said. Yeah, I've left without protecting what is legally mine. The Judge Martinez was very interested in the recorded conversation in which he spoke. So I told Alice about it while we were living in Bali. Indeed, the beach house transaction proceeded smoothly. When their attorney received the court order, the compradores were quite understanding. Francis's breathing was the only thing that caused the silence on the opposite side of the wall. After that, a female voice in the background began asking questions and became increasingly agitated. Jessica, la pregunté. In addition, the offshore aquarium has been frozen, and authorities have been warned of tax evasion. As you were staring at me, Francis finally managed to control his voice without using it. No, I'm shielding you from your calculated behavior. There is a difference. Escuche is muffledly conversing on the other side. Jessica's voice is growing in volume and tone. In real time, their desire to live off of my family's taxes was fading. Continue, Francis. The court has scheduled an emergency meeting for the loons. You are required to assist, either in person or over video conference. We have flagged your passport, so please arrange your return. Flagiado? What does that mean? Now you could feel the panic in his voice. Even if you manage to leave Bali, you will face arrest if you attempt to enter any country other than the United States. The court was worried that they could try to disappear with marriage taxes. In the end, the dispute was becoming more heated. I could have Jessica say something about promises and waste my time. I've sent you all the court's documents. I promise. Diane said that since Michael is a lawyer, you should also copy him. To be sure, I called her this mañana. Esta. Disappointing. It was a disappointment. Michael had been curious and had offered to go to Boston right away to help me navigate the legal procedures. My brother had lost his mind. He said, my father will be scared. Espera, Alice. Francis's voice had changed now, with despair taking the place of reason. We are able to learn anything. We will respond through the appropriate legal channels. I would advise you to get a competent abogado. Oh, and Francis. The children knew everything. I have seen the evidence. I've read your text. The next 48 hours were spent dismantling a long-haul car traffic, one of which was being watched from a safe distance. On that day, Francis tried to call 17 more times. I only responded once more, telling him that all future communications should go through our abogados. After that, they sent their calls to Diane's office, where their assistant recorded each attempt. By nightfall, Francis's brother had arrived at my house, bringing both legal expertise and spiritual support. He reviewed everything, made comments, and distributed the documents throughout my kitchen. Alice, you did everything exactly right. The evidence is alarming, and the judge's protection orders are sound. What are the next questions we'll be answering? As requested, we are each having a coffee. Michael Solioso. It would be obvious that I would be at the house soon and try to salvage what I could. But Francis always gets upset when he gets close. Like in the past, my phone rang with an email notification. The email notification was not from Francis, but from Jessica. Formally, Mrs. Mercer began. I think I should let you know that Francis misrepresented their financial situation to me. I told you you had agreed to divorce and inherited the beach house from your parents. I never would have been involved if I knew the truth. I'm ending our relationship immediately and effectively. Michael gave me a low sound and read it over my shoulder. Sincronizados gatos y barcos, he said. Respondent debería? Pregante. Absolutely not, Michael said. Send it to Diane and ask her to attach it to the archive. Jessica could be attempting to pose as an unwelcome victim here. The next mother brought news of the foreclosed Quantico. Throughout the night, Francis had made many attempts to get access to various accounts, trying various passwords and even changing the recovery email addresses. Every attempt had been successful and reported to the tribunal. It's being investigated more thoroughly, Diane said on our call to Mañana. The court aims to seriously circumvent the tribunal's orders. At the end of the day, we received a message from the Cape Cod abogado that Francis had called the real estate agent, demanding that they proceed with the sale of the beach house against the court's order. Being aware of the situation, the agent had already taken the call and sent it straight to Diane. This is really helpful for our case, Diane explained. Demonstrates their intention to violate the court's orders. Even after being formally notified, Elise and Thomas decided to end the evening. Both of them had taken workdays, and they were still processing their father's death. As we were in the island's kitchen, Thomas said, "Ma'am, have you heard anything from Papa Volvendo?" I gulped the head. Not directly, but Michael thinks that if you want to defend yourself in court alone, you will have to move quickly. Elise, who is often the most emotional of the two, placed her food on his plate. I still can't believe you sent me a message like this. Savor the freedom of being single. Even after 30 years, who tells someone that? Anyone who thought we had Ito, Michael said, and brought us a box of new documents. That leads me to this. We had received notifications that Francis had scheduled a flight to Boston. Mañana will arrive for the night. I felt a complex mix of emotions, including relief that I was going to face the consequences, fear of the unknown, and an added sense of validation that my preparations had worked. Additionally, he sent an official communication through a Balinese abogado. Michael continued, sending a paper in my direction. Explains that the text was sent as a broma and that there was a misinterpretation of the beach house list. A broma? Elise's voice fell into disbelief. Has Elise seen all the evidence? Francis's flight to Boston appeared to be a carefully orchestrated legal ballet. Diane had complained that an abogado had been there with the Papels when they were completing the procedures at Logan International Airport. Michael's college was waiting at the terminal, providing real-time updates while the events were developing. Elle had arrived. While we sat in Diane's office, Michael reported from his cell phone. He was genuinely surprised. Jessica had not sent a message. Today, an abogado was approaching. I managed to maintain my composure despite my heart pounding. After 30 years of dating, I know Francis well enough to anticipate his response. The process begins with the denunciation. Then comes the negotiation, followed by indirect arousal. And then, when all else failed, the person took it. Are you absolutely certain that you want to be present at the reunion of Mañana? Said Diane eloquently. It is possible to fully portray yourself. It is necessary to answer. It's for me, not for Francis. I spent many years invisibly attending to their needs and desires throughout my life. Alice left my hands in support. Both of our sons insisted on joining us at the law office, creating a united front while we navigated this sorrowful capitulo. 2 hours later, Francis's new partner was named Diane. Prior to the reunion, They called an emergency meeting with the goal of engaging in negotiations. After the call, Diane clarified, "We're providing an asentamiento. Francis is willing to let you keep the beach house if you follow the emergency procedures and the terms of a quick and peaceful divorce." Permitten? Again. The absurdity almost made me cry. Is it true that the beach house has been in my family for 4 generations? Indeed. Diane gritted her teeth. It's not a serious offer. They are trying to find out what you may accept. Dije firmemente, ya que los veremos en el tribunal. This evening, as I was getting ready to go for the cama, my phone rang with Francis's brother's number. "I'm with Francis," Michael said, "and your voice is tense. She is requesting that we have a conversation prior to Maana's reunion." I suggested it, but he insists. I took a deep breath. "Michael, que date en la habitación y ponlo en el micrófono." "Alice? Derrotada. Su voz parecía rara. All of this is a man's dream. He made a tremendous mistake. What is the actual error?" Calmly preguntéla. "Are we going to loot our employees? Want to sell my family's beachfront home? I am conveying a message that you should find happiness without a home." Grito. "No estaba pensando claramente. Jessica." She made everything seem as good as possible. It felt like a fresh start. A fresh start. Pero ya se ha ido. When it became apparent that I had no money, it vanished. What is surprising? Calmo dije. Quiero volver a casa. Rompiendo su voz. We can leave this until later. Alice. I'm 30 years old. Does that not apply to anything? For a minute, I recorded the young man who came to me. Ambitious, captivating, and full of dreams. We will build together. However, that man vanished a long time ago. I was reaped by someone who was willing to destroy me emotionally and financially without a second thought. Does that apply to anything? I responded well. Consequently, the documentation was comprehensive. As a result, it protects what we build together. The Maana tribunal found you guilty. After quedarme, I was dispatched to the shore of our cama. My cama today, and I was given permission to linger for a time by the case that we believed we had. Mañana demanded all of my strength and dignity. The tribunal was incredibly formal. With a polished and swaying frame, I sent Diana to the table of the plantanos with my posture straight and my hands open calmly on the polished surface. Michael had positioned himself at the edge of our table, ready to send Francis, while Thomas and Alice sat just behind me. Their actions were not only a graphic declaration of their divided loyalties, but also a final call to truth. I was surprised by Francis's appearance when he entered with his attorney. The most self-assured man, who had been in Bali for 3 weeks, looked worn out and diminished. Trato de captor mi ojo. Pero tuve mi mirada adelante. Concentrandome en el juicio de Martínez mientras entraba en la sala del tribunal. We're here to discuss the Mercer versus. Mercer began the hearing by reviewing the prior documentation. 3 weeks ago, Mercer presented temporary protection orders based on evidence of financial abandonment and attempted fraud. We immediately dispatched Francis's lawyer, Gregory Powell, an aggressive litigator. Honor, my client would want to state that there has been a serious misunderstanding. The SMS message in question was sent to a poor judge, but it was never attempted. Martinez, the judge, cut it short. Mr. Powell has changed a lot of paperwork, which includes electronic messages, pictures, and information about the forced removal of property and several attempts to get to frozen films after the court's orders were given. We want to spend the court's time providing uncompromising explanations. Powell se acercó y se sentó. Francis appeared to be more relaxed in his chair. The trial began in a methodical manner. The forensic agent presented his findings, demonstrating how Francis had methodically withdrawn over $87 in little amounts over the course of 4 months. Through a video conference, the real estate agent attested to Francis's instructions to sell the beach house without my knowledge. The majority of the tests included evidence from Francis's own devices, emails, the setup of his afuera agreements, and conversations with Jessica to prepare his new life. When Francis finally came forth, he tried a contribution strategy. I made a huge mistake. Señor, a media catastrophe that killed me. I never intended to leave my spouse penniless. However, his text message specifically titled, Disfruta de estar sin hogar, was read by Judge Martinez, who looked at him with wide eyes. In Jessica's favor, Francis admitted, his voice barely audible, I wanted to impress her. Is it okay to have his 30-year-old wife live alone? The judge made it clear how he saw this explanation. Judge Martinez gave his order after 3 hours of testimony. The court finds evidence of financial abandonment and attempted deception. The final divorce procedures will maintain the temporal orders pertaining to all marital issues. Additionally, he went on, greeting Francis with an open eye. The tribunal brings Al Sr. to the table. After receiving the notification, Mercer made many attempts to circumvent these orders. Mercer ordered Francis to surrender his passport and appointed a financial guardian to assist with all marital issues during the divorce process. Most importantly, it granted my request for the exclusive use of our Boston home and the Cape Cod beach house during the procedures. Mr. Mercer concluded that the court has a very dark view of attempts to conceal marital issues or purposefully impoverish a spouse. You're fortunate that Mrs. Mercer will explain your plans before you accomplish them. Ignoring his abogado's attempt to stop it, Francis approached us as we gathered our belongings to leave. Alice, please, started speaking. Adonde debería ir? For the first time that day, I walked straight up to him. This is a question you should have thought about before stating that you enjoy being single. I'm sure you'll find something. 6 meses después del juicio. Senté en el sol de octubre pintar el agua en sombras de oro y escarlata. Senté en la mesa del hogar de la playa de Cape Cod. 3 weeks prior, the judge's gavel struck, finalizing our 30-year marriage. The last agreement had been fair yet tough. Citing Francis's deliberate attempt to swindle, the tribunal awarded me the house on the beach and 70% of our retirement and investment funds. Francis accepted the 2 smallest dogs and enough liquid proprietary ones to provide a modest standard of living. The order required me to pay all of my legal tariffs. Moste, ma'am? Elise appeared beside me, the brisa marina embracing his cabello. Cariño, gracias. As the night air warmed, I romped my hands around the muñeco's calentamiento and received him in a hirviendo state. With a telephone in hand, Thomas emerged from inside. Michael, my uncle, called. Finally, my father found an apartment. He will start his new job at the community college the following week. How are you? The news has left Lore feeling neither joy nor sorrow. After the escandalo, Francis had lost his executive position. His former partner would have no desire to associate with anybody who would have attempted such calculated financial deception. ¿Estás bien? Elise asked, looking at my face. I'm doing okay, responding, and surprised that it was true. She didn't want Francis to suffer. I only wanted to protect what was rightfully ours. While the waves were moving slowly against the sea, I noticed that Francis had lost almost everything and had gained something unexpected. I had a force I never knew I had and a clearer vision of the life I wanted to build. A year after receiving Francis's harsh SMS, I found myself in the middle of a room full of frustrated faces at the University of Boston's conference center. More than 200 people attended the program. Financial security after betrayal, mostly women from more than 50 comparable situations to the one I was in. According to the audience, preparation is not paranoia. Documentation does not imply disbelief. They are self-defense mechanisms that everyone uses. After my case was investigated in Boston, I received several messages from women who had experienced financial abuse but did not know how to identify or protect themselves. Their stories inspired me to work with Diane and many financial experts to develop this series of courses. In the foreground, Thomas and Elise were both shining with pride. On their side was Michael, who had become an unspoken friend and ally during the divorce. In the months since my divorce was finalized, I have found a purpose in helping others navigate similar situations. We observed that Francis was gradually rebuilding his life. Michael's last update revealed that he was teaching business ethics at a community college. A situation that ironically affected no one in our family. Evidently, Jessica had moved to Florida to become another influential person. After the presentation, as the guys were waiting to ask questions, A more elderly woman calmly took my hand. My 42-year-old husband is planning something similar. He said, Gracias a ti. I have already contacted and documented everything. Their words validated everything. The pain, public exposure, and difficult decisions were all validated by their words. Francis had intended for me to be destroyed rather than used as a foundation to help others. Arriving at home along the famous Cape Cod coast, I felt something that had been open for a long time. Pause. This was not because Francis had suffered consequences, but rather because he had discovered a force that no one knew existed. Sometimes the strongest response to cruelty is not retaliation but rather resilience.